Where are the young people living now?
Where?
What happened with credit card debt and how much does it cost to rent versus buy in Georgia?
And then are foreclosures up? These are all questions that we're going to answer right now as part of the Max One Market Update. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm with the Max One team.
And my name is Ming Richardson with Maximum One Team.
So there's the National Association of Home Builders has released a new, the study which said that the number of people living with their parents
Young
is actually
adults.
young adults. And by the way, these are young adults that can afford to buy a home,
But
they aren't, right? And so that number actually went up again last year. And you know what? We get it. Affordability is a very big deal that we know that a lot of folks are living with. Now, here in Georgia, almost 20% of young adults that can afford to buy a home are living with
their parents.
mom and dad. Yeah, they're living with mom and
Hey,
dad.
look, mom cooks well. So
Well, I mean, I'm not knocking it at all, but the bottom line here is that for wealth in the United States comes from home ownership.
Correct.
And we totally get it that that's a great place to go to be able to save while you're getting yourself set up. The average first time home buyer age is between 33 and 36 years old. And so we know that this is a big deal, but also at this point, it's time to start looking at moving out, getting out into your own, that kind of thing. Now, one thing that we do want to kind of urge caution of is that right now a record number of consumers are just making their minimum credit card payments. And so we're seeing where the number of people who are making that minimum payment is going through the roof. And at the same time,
well, what happened is when you make minimum payment, your delinquency, the probability of delinquency also goes up.
And so we have where credit card balances over 30 days have nearly doubled. That's up pretty significantly out there, kind of thing. Right now it's up 10%, the number of people that are making just the minimum payment. At the same time, credit card delinquency rates are also on the rise. They're up almost 7%. That is a big deal. As someone who is interested in buying a home, the number one thing is you got to protect your credit.
Take that debt off.
Yeah, you have to be able to do that. And so we're not like trying to be like, well, you just eat less avocado toast. We're not going there with that. But what we are saying is that if you are serious about wanting to own your financial future, you've got to make sure that you're staying ahead on these things.
Well, you got to make choices, okay, on how you're going to budget yourself. Yeah. And making sure you're staying with the parameter and also save when it's time to buy.
Yeah, because now on the positive side, we are seeing where mortgage rates, interest rates are coming down like, okay, this much, not huge, but it is still moving in the right direction. We're very thankful to see that because the lower the interest rate, the more buying power our buyers have. That's really, really super important. We get that. Moving forward, the forecast is for rates to continue to soften.
But you won't see a steep decline like it was during pandemic.
We really don't think that's going to happen. So
for the average renter, you need to earn on the average in U.S., you need almost have $64,000, whether that's singular or combined income, but it needs to be around $64,000 to afford a typical apartment.
And so one thing is that we definitely know is that especially for those, the folks that we were just talking about, the folks who, whether they're living with mom and dad, or they're just still considering, is now the right time to buy or not, kind of thing. You are looking at what does it cost for me to rent a place? I mean, housing, whether you own or whether you rent, housing is an important concern for all Americans out there. And so, the first number here is that if the average income needed to rent an apartment in the United States is almost $64,000. That's just kind of that's where that number resides. And so at the same time, Ming and I were very interested in saying, okay, well, if that's what the average
renter income
is paying,
what does it cost? What do you have to make in order to purchase a home here in Atlanta, a starter home?
Yeah, and so we went and said, okay, let's just look at starter homes with a mortgage rate of 7%, which is higher than we are right now. But we just kind of want to throw that in there. How much do you have to make? and you have to make almost $72,000. And I realize there's a difference between 64,000 and 72,000, but it's not.
It's not unobtainable.
Yeah, it's not unreasonably different kind of thing. There's a lot of folks that make enough to be able to qualify to own a home. If that's something you are interested in, you've got to be looking at like the biggest source of down payment is from savings. And so doing
Or
the
your
things
401k
like,
sometime.
or maybe it's tax returns even right
And
now.
sometimes, we have folks that do have student debt. They do a modification to consolidate and get a cheaper, I guess, bundle. And so that can help with your debt to income ratio as well.
So I guess what we're saying is whether you are looking at it, thinking about it, an apartment, that's 100% interest rate.
Correct.
And we're not great to see where it's at. But how much you need to be able to afford a home versus how much you need to just be able to rent the average apartment, it's not that different. We just want you to have the power to have those decisions to make when you really want.
Yeah, and our objective is actually to help you build wealth and build a community. So this is something that you can always have at the back of your pocket as an asset versus nothing at all.
Yeah.
One thing that Alan and I get asked a lot is the foreclosure coming up?
Are we going to see another big foreclosure wave? When are the prices going to go down so that I can buy a home? And I sure do hope foreclosures come back. Don't hope for that, first of all. But the reality of it is we're not seeing foreclosure activity increase. As a matter of fact, we're seeing
a decrease.
The exact opposite. Foreclosures are down from last year to this year to last year by 10%. And so honestly, in addition to that, foreclosures are at some of the lowest levels that we've seen, like way lower than when they were, like even heading into 2006, 2007. Like we're at some of the historically lowest foreclosure activity levels ever. Now it was lower during COVID because we had foreclosure moratoriums and eviction moratoriums and those kind of things. But the bottom line here is that we just don't know anyone who's really upside down in their property because property values continue to appreciate and people are building equity and wealth. There's really no reason why someone would go into foreclosure. If someone is having financial troubles, they're just going to sell their house. Yep. They're going to capture that equity. So we're just not seeing where the foreclosure levels are doing anything, that there's any kind of activity going on there with that. And honestly, we really don't want you to be like, oh, I sure was wishing for that anyway, because the bottom line here is that like a rising tide lifts all ships, and no one wants to buy a home and think, gosh, I sure hope
we crash.
I sure hope it's worth less tomorrow, kind of thing.
No, we don't.
And we aren't seeing that. We aren't seeing where property values are declining. We're not seeing where that's an issue. As a matter of fact, we've seen where right now for the top 50 largest markets in the United States, all of them saw property value appreciation year over year. So if you're interested in buying, selling, if there's anything that we can do to help, we'd love to help you out here. So please, you can visit us at MaximumPartners.com.
Or call us at 678-782-5050. Or email us at team@max1partners.com.
Bye, everybody.
Love to hear from you. Take care.